Solutions, where we talk to Shamrock partners just like you about how they approach the hospitality business, stay on top of trends, and run a successful restaurant business. I'm your host, Jeff Piven, business solutions consultant with Shamrock Foods based in Phoenix, Arizona. And today I'm hosting from one of our other local partners, Evo in Old Town Scottsdale. Thank you to Mr. Nick Newman for allowing us to use his beautiful venue here. Today I'm going to be joined by Mr. Joey Lucidi, a local legend. He's the owner of West Side Concepts that just keeps getting bigger over on the west side of Phoenix. Good afternoon, Joey. Are you there with us? Come on in.
I'm here, man. Thanks for having me.
There he is. Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Joey. Now, everyone out there watching, you can type in comments and hit send just like you would on a normal Facebook page comment. And we could see those items and we can answer any questions, or you can give us a shout out and say hello. Well, thank you so much for taking the time, Joey. You and I have had a long relationship working together with Shamrock Foods, and our partnership. I'm excited to unpack some of the great knowledge that you have. And I know you've been growing and you've been busy. So I'm excited to talk about that. Let's talk about your background for a second. How did you get into this crazy business? Take me through a little bit of that and tell the audience what you guys are all about.
Sure. First of all, thanks for having me. And I've been in this business my whole life. My parents owned restaurants since I was pretty much born. Did my homework at the bar, grew up running around the kitchen. My dad says that he actually used to have a pack and play in the office for my little sister and I, because my parents just ran their restaurants. So they were pretty successful. They had 13 over 27 years. Tried to get out myself. I worked with them all, started when I was 12. I was managing by the time I was 16. I was doing great. I loved it, but tried to get out of the business, do some other things, realize that this is just where I belong. So got back into it. And I've pretty much been in this business since I was 12 years old. So it's almost 30 years.
Well, so doing the math, you're just about my age too. I don't know if I started at 12, maybe 15. Yeah. I think I was boning chickens in the back of a restaurant. Well, that's awesome. So you have a restaurant. You started with Haymaker, right? And then you've got 2 and 3, and then you kind of started expanding. Tell us about your brand.
So our first restaurant was Haymaker in North Peoria in 2013, and a lot of it was based around what I already knew. My parents' last restaurant that I really got involved with was a similar concept: Midwestern comfort food, breakfast, lunch, dinner, the 3-day parts, and really just I was in my comfort zone. So I didn't branch out as far as maybe I wanted to, because I needed to be successful. I didn't have any backers. I didn't have any debts. And so just really worked at what I knew. And once that started picking up and we were able to grow that brand, that's when I got to dig deep into what I love and grow concepts and branch off and do different things with different restaurants. But Haymaker was the start of it all. I love it to this day. It's my favorite thing I've ever done. And we're still looking to grow and try to get better at it every day.
Right. So you've got Haymaker, and then ever since this pandemic happened, you've actually grown a couple units. Is that right? And they're not just additional Haymakers; they're additional concepts.
Yeah. So we now have 3 Haymakers. All of them were open before the pandemic. One of them just opened 2 months before. And then we had the Social on 83rd before the pandemic. And then during the pandemic, we were the geniuses that decided to open up a few more restaurants. We opened up a coffee shop. And then right as the pandemic was beginning, we opened up an event center, which kind of shut down for a few months and now is starting to roll. And then we opened up Cantina, our Mexican food concept up in North Peoria as well.
That's awesome. So Mexican, coffee, Haymakers, like a really cool whiskey bar, and they do a great job at breakfast. You're all over the place, man. You can't be contained. I love it.
Yeah. So we talk a lot about that. If we're gonna keep doing that, we enjoy creating concepts. I know that's not what a lot of people like. They like growing one brand, and we kind of do want to grow a couple of our brands, but we really enjoy creating new things.
Well, and that's great because you start with a basis of hospitality that's congruent
Yep.
through all of your brands. And I know you were talking to me about this, a few weeks ago when we spoke, that you're about experience. Can you tell us a little more about how the experience keeps your customers coming back?
Yeah, and unfortunately, or fortunately, however you look at it, in this world, the customers changed a lot, especially with millennials eating out more and more. That they want different things than what my parents want when they go out to eat. That boomer generation, they want that great food and they want great service, and then a lot of times it kind of stops at that, and not always. Not I don't want to stereotype everybody, but the millennials come in and they want those two things as well, but they want to use all their senses. They want to use the decor as part of the reason for them choosing a restaurant. They want to use the music and what's available to them and what can they do while they're going out. I mean, that's why concepts like the yard and all these outdoor places like we have at Social, that's why they're growing, is
Right.
because the experience, it's not just about eating anymore. It's everywhere. It's about being the scene. It's about being at the right place. And so the Instagram world that we live in has changed, and it's made food. It's still very important. Don't get me wrong, but there's so many restaurants that have good food now. You better bring your A game in every other aspect, or you're not going to make it.
Right. And especially now that we're coming out of the pandemic and we're open for dining. And there's all this kind of, you know, I want to talk to you about experience versus convenience, right? We were talking about how for the longest time in 2020, everyone just wanted to get access to the food and it needed to be convenient, pick up, order online, get it as fast as you can, get it home. Now that we're opening back up, there's a bit of a paradigm shift where the customer now is craving the experience that you were talking about. So it's more important than ever to focus on what Joey was talking about, where we are experiential driven and we've got things other than food for people to experience in our restaurants, right?
Yeah, I think experience, it's always been important, but right now you're right, people are craving it. They've been locked up and they're not looking to just fill their bellies anymore. They want to get out, and it's going to really separate our business into who's ready to take care of these guests the way they want to be taken care of, and who's just going to go back to serving hot food, and that's just not enough in this world anymore. But yeah, the COVID whole experience, it wasn't fun for someone like me who when you're putting food into go containers and you're not doing what
Yeah.
you really love to do. We like to entertain. We want people to come in on birthdays and anniversaries and all those special moments that they spend either with their family or their friends. When they're not able to do that with us, we felt like our hands were tied. We struggled at the beginning of not knowing how to get our brand and our concepts out to people into go boxes. It wasn't fun, that's for sure, but we got through. And now that we're back open and these people are coming in waves. I mean, we all know how busy the world is right now, and I think it's only going to get busier. Um, we're able to do
Yeah.
what we're good at and what we love.
Well, that's great. And, I think that's into my next question. And almost I'm just asking, as we come out of the pandemic and you see a surge, what are some of the things operationally that you're going to do as far as like upping your pars on your ordering, as far as prep lists, as far as staffing? Can you take us through that strategy? Because it's catching a lot of people on there. People are flat footed out there and they're getting crushed by guests
Yeah.
coming out in droves, like you said.
I'm not gonna lie. We're as prepared as we can be, and we're still getting crushed too. Everybody is. I could hire 30 people today in our restaurants and to staff up.
Right.
It's difficult. My operations director and I were just talking moments before this call about, okay, what do we need to do to get these people, because they are out there, few and far between.
Yeah.
But how do we get them? Is it just more pay? Because sometimes that's it, and sometimes it's. I believe we have a culture in our company that helps us bring in and keep people longer. but do we need to step out and do more things? Do we need to offer things that we've never even thought about? We're asking people, we're doing weird things when somebody leaves, we're doing exit interviews, but now we're almost to the point where if we don't get somebody, we need to sit down with them and figure out why didn't we get them? Because
Right.
there's not this grove of people that there used to be that you could hire from. And that's good and bad. It's good because it reminds us how important our team is to us. We always think they're important, but we need those gentle reminders of, hey, there's not a line of people outside, so let's take care of the ones that are with us now so that we don't have to go through this and replace them or anything like that. So staffing is a huge problem right now, and I'm not the only restaurant. I've talked to 15 other owners, and we're all having the same nightmares and the same frustrations.
I know, I
So
was
there's
about
that.
to say, you're not the only one out there.
No,
You're not the
and,
only one out there. So,
and in
and
regards
it
to your other
boils down
question
to, I
about,
think, messaging, like you said.
yeah, and creating that, what separates you, just like in a restaurant to a guest. We all look. I sell. Haymaker sells eggs and bacon. That those are two of the biggest things we sell. You can get eggs and bacon anywhere. There's not a whole lot I can do to my eggs and bacon that's going to separate us from every other breakfast restaurant. So we have to do other things that separate us, whether that be other products or whether that be our service or our price point or our the feel that they get when they come in, or maybe it's the way that we're a part of the community. There's a lot of different things. So when we're looking at employees, are we doing the same thing? Are we finding what separates us from the restaurant next door that our employees are
Right.
going to, or how are we attracting them? And uh, it's a difficult process that we're going through right now, but we're trying to figure it out.
I would agree. And, you're not alone in that. And I love that you touched on uh, the fact that you have a customer journey where the customer is, researching your brand. How do they find you? How do they come in? How do they get seated? How do they experience you? And then finally, how do they either come back for more, or how do they tell more people and come back in? You have that same type of journey with an employee, right? So
Yeah.
how do they find you? What is this product? How do I get involved? How do I get hired? How do I get trained? And then finally, how do I get my employees to advocate for my HR brand? The employee journey is a really, really important topic, and I'm really glad that you
Yeah.
brought that up, Joey. I appreciate that.
And I'll be honest,
Well, just to
yes.
remind,
Oh, I'll be honest, it wasn't
yeah,
as high of a priority years ago as it is now, and that's just my journey as a business owner, where I've come from and where I'm trying to get to, is that we focus so much on the guest, and we kind of forgot about who makes it all work. And it's a
right,
constant thing now that we talk about in whether again moments ago, whether it's talking about raises or it's talking about time off or it's talking about quality of life for our staff. Because if we hit those, even though it might cost us a little more, the peace of mind of our business growing, it far outweighs it.
right. And I think as you spend more and invest in your people, what you'll find is that you actually wind up spending less on a macro. And because
Yeah.
you'll have less turnover, less training, you'll have more efficiency, and you'll have more loyalty, which in turn costs you less. Even though it seems silly, like if I spend more, I'm going to spend less. That doesn't make any sense, but it really, really does. And you have to look at it as an investment and not a cost. So good points there. Thanks, brother, for bringing that up. Let me just take a quick break and remind everyone that's just joining us. I've got Joey Lucidi from Westside Concepts with me today. He's got a bevy of restaurants on the west side, an empire, a burgeoning conglomerate, if you will, on the west side that's been creating raving fans for the better part of a decade. If you have a question or a comment, jump into the comment section of the Facebook feed and type send. I haven't seen anything come through, but I am on my phone today, so I'm not sure what that looks like in this platform. Maybe Carissa, who's watching at home, will let us know if we have some questions and we can get those answered. If I don't answer you or we're not able to get to it, we can answer them later on after the show. So stay tuned and keep the questions coming. So let's talk about what's to come. Now that COVID's sort of in the rear view, not 100%, right, but sort of in the rear view, and we hope we don't have to be dealing with this anymore in 2021 and hopefully not 2022. What's going to be the next industry challenge, you think, Joey?
Well, I mean, short term right now is supply chain. Right now Arizona's open, and that's awesome, and I'm happy
Right.
as can be. But if we're having the supply chain problems right now, when very few states are as open as we are, what's going to happen as those larger states or other states keep opening? What's the supply chain look like? That's a big problem. Where we are out of products on a continual basis right now, and it's nobody's fault. It's just a new world that we live in. So that's a short-term issue. We all have
Right.
that problem. And then moving into down the road, oh boy, I hate to talk about the same thing we just talked about, but I think we're going to have to find new ways to have a workforce. It is long ago are the days of saying, servers, you're going to make this much money and that's good enough. It's not like that anymore. And I haven't figured out the answer yet, but this workforce is looking for different things. When we have huge, especially in Arizona, when we have huge companies like Amazon coming here and offering these jobs to these people where they have stability and they have a consistent paycheck, we have to find things to offer them that separates us from the Amazons, and that's tough to do when you're a little guy. And so I think that's going to be the challenge is finding. Look, we have 4 locations that we can open in the next 12 to 16 months that we're about ready to sign on. The only thing holding me back is I don't know if I can have enough staff for them, because each one of them needs 40 to 60 people. And I don't know if I can go out and find 200 employees right now. I can't find the 30 I need before. And so that's my challenge. I think that's a challenge for a lot of restaurants. Now there will be some more closures, unfortunately. And I think there'll be some workforce that kind of moves around. But we've got to tap into some kind of workforce that wants to be a part of our industry.
Right. And you did say Amazon, but I think you offer so much more. And you touched on it earlier that you offer a culture that can't be touched by Amazon. I mean, I don't even think they give bathroom breaks, Joey.
I don't know.
And you're offering way more than that. I personally would love to work for you and Ron. I think what we could do is work together, and we can brainstorm between your team and our team, and we can work together to create some solutions. And what you were saying earlier about the millennials is that really you're advertising for your HR brand, just like you would advertise for somebody to come to Sunday brunch. So what does that marketing campaign look like? I think is really, really important. And for those of you out in Facebook world that are watching this right now, you have access to myself, a consultant in Arizona, as well as the other 11 people on my team across the Western United States by simply going to shamrockfoodservice.com/resources and filling out the consultant questionnaire. Someone will call you back that day to discuss things like this, especially when it seems like such an enigma to find out what's going to get people off their couches and into our restaurants, creating experiences that our customers are craving. So earlier in the show, we were talking about how you grew. And if I know anything about Joey, I know that you're looking at your numbers. Can you talk to our audience about how important your numbers are to you and how you use them to steer your business?
Yeah, I mean, you know me, Jeff. We've worked together on the consulting a ton. You, me, Mike Stevens, Angel, everybody. Numbers are what separates a profitable business from a failing business. I've been into too many restaurants that has amazing food, and they're out of business 6 months later, and nobody
Right.
can figure it out. Man, the restaurant's full. I don't know how they're not making money. Well, I can tell you how they're
I
not making
I
money.
know.
I always tell my staff, it's unfortunate, but you can make more money out of the back door than you can the front door. If you do your job right in building your menu and your costing and your food purveyors, then the front part is just fun. The front of the house is just entertaining, and we have a simple philosophy that we'll stick with till the day we die. The answer is yes. What's the question? Because if you have that attitude towards your guests, that's the easy part. I mean, make a guest happy, whatever that looks like. Buy their food, comp everything, don't comp everything, give them what they want. I mean, whatever it is. But you have
Right.
to be able to
Right.
manage your food and labor cost. I mean, I know too many restaurant people that they don't even know how to manage their prime cost. And we all know that 65% of all of your sales. So if you're not managing those
You're
two
right.
things, you're not managing your paper, you're not managing your occupancy, you're not managing anything. And so they get focused on dimes, and they step over dollars to save a dime, and they don't look at numbers. Us personally, we're big in the numbers. Sometimes my staff they don't love the numbers as much as I do. Um, but an Excel spreadsheet's a fun Tuesday night for me, to be able to look at all our numbers and understand where we're at. It's a lot more fun with 8 locations than with one, because one little incremental change can be a huge
Big. Yeah.
increase in the restaurant. And so I will say, I remember back with one restaurant, it wasn't as much fun because you worked all day and the last thing you want to do is go home and look at numbers. We've got an
Right.
amazing team that gives me the time to be a numbers guy. And I think that's why we're successful, is we got different people that are really good at certain things, and we let them do their job.
Right.
And it lets me be the numbers guy. So yeah, knowing your numbers, knowing your food cost, your labor cost at any moment where you're at, those two things will change your business.
I agree. And you know me, I'm a numbers geek too. And when the
Yeah.
two of us get together,
Yep.
it's numbers fest. So the advice that I think is so important, Joey, is that you let people do what they're good at in your business. And you've
Yeah.
got your numbers guys, your managers, and you've got your leaders. If you remember, managers manage things, leaders lead people.
Yeah.
The culture and all of those things need to happen individually. I appreciate you saying that. And numbers are the reason that you grew instead of contracting, when we had such an awful pandemic happen to our industry. So, next thing I wanted to talk to you about was you're really involved in your community. And I believe that is one thing that has helped our great restaurateurs like yourself survive the pandemic. Can you tell us a bit about what you do within your community and what that means to you?
Yeah, we started off from the very beginning, knowing that we wanted to form a marketing campaign that was unlike most restaurants. We said, look, we can go put our money into ads in newspapers, and that'll bring in people. But every time we did that, we knew it was going to be a smaller ROI. And then we said, but if we go out and sponsor a sports team, then that's 15 kids plus their families plus their extended families, that and far less dollars to that team. And so we knew there would be much more powerful way. And so we kind of ironed out
Right.
four groups that we wanted to put our money in, that kind of put a basis of our concept, of our brand, West Side Concept. So we do military, kids, churches, and what was the last one? Oh wait, military, kids, churches, and my mind just went blank on it. What was it? Oh, schools. Jeez, sorry, my operations
Oh
guy
yeah,
sitting right
yeah, yeah,
next to
yeah.
me. Duh. And so we figured if
Is
we
Ron there?
spend,
Tell him I said hi.
yeah, Ron's right there. Jeff says hi. We figured that if we put our money around those four they'd be like our soldiers. They would help our brand get out to the community and tell the world how much they loved us. And when they say it, that's a lot more powerful than me putting a big ad in newspaper saying how
Yeah.
great we are.
Yeah.
And honestly, it worked. It worked like no other. And now we have people fighting for us. I mean, when COVID hit, and I
Right.
talked about eggs earlier. Eggs suck when they travel in to-go containers. They just suck. And we had people coming in. They didn't care. Eggs, potatoes, bacon. They'll buy. They just wanted to buy stuff from us, and they lined up in droves.
Right.
And they not only helped get us get through it, but they're the reason why we're growing the way we are. And it's not because of coupons or because they got anything out of it other than
Right.
we sponsored their kids' ball game or whatever it was. And so that's how we became a part of the community, and it's grown. I mean, now we have we're a big part of our community, and we're very, very proud of that. Um, we got some big ideas to go even further down the road too. So, and we keep all of our money local, all in the West Valley.
Right. And I appreciate that. And you know, the more you give, the more you get. And
Yeah,
that, you know, more than anything else, anyone that we've talked to on this show or I talk to as in my job as a consultant is that the folks, the restaurateurs and the business owners that give back the most to their communities have been able to get back the most from their communities. And it's really just a fantastic symbiosis. So that's awesome, Joey. At Shamrock, we love food. We're a food company and we're a restaurant company too,
yeah,
as well as we've got a dairy with some other fantastic products.
yep.
Tell me about a dish that's just blowing your mind right now. I know we're coming out of season. What's something that's coming up on your menus that we can get excited about?
Well, I'll tell you, one of my favorite items we have currently on the menu is our roasted poblano at Cantina. Pretty
Oh
simple,
yeah,
healthy dish, but you know, typically Mexican restaurants have chili rellenos, you know, deep fried and everything. And
yeah.
we just wanted to go a little different route, so we do a fire roasted poblano, and we stuff it with rice and beans, and then you know, meat of your choice plus cheese, and we do a little enchilada sauce underneath it, and it's just an awesome dish that I had some buddies in town, and they were like, "You order for us," and so I ordered it for them, and I saw their faces when it came out. It's a really pretty dish, and I think they were kind of like, "Oh, they were expecting like a deep fried burrito, like you know, chimichanga style." And they both, after the meal, they both said, "Wow, dude, I would never have ordered that," and that blew my socks off. And so I love that dish. And then we have a new summer grilling menu coming to Haymaker, and our director, our
Oh,
culinary
cool.
director, Evan Prophet, you know Evan. Um,
Yeah.
Evan's awesome, and he created this little grilling menu, and we've got a we've got a broiled double bone pork chop, 10-ounce pork chop with an orange marmalade
Wow.
and some mashed potatoes. That's like a Creole
Yeah.
marmalade. It is so good. I'm pretty excited about that one. That's coming next week, so I'll be eating that next week for sure.
Man, I'm coming into the party. I can't wait. I love Cantina because you're doing Sonoran food, but you're doing it in a different way that is so fresh and just unexpected and just unique. And I think that's really what Sonoran food was craving. So well done on that. I know you've got um, other things to do today. And I really, really appreciate your time. To everyone out there, thank you for tuning in to Shamrock Foods Kitchen Conversations. My name is Jeff Piven. I've been here with Joey Lucidi from Westside Concepts for the past 30 minutes. Joey, thank you for all the insights. Good luck on hiring everyone out there. If you didn't
Yeah.
get to see the show, go back and watch it on our YouTube. That's going to be available starting later on tonight. Joey, thanks again. We got to talk
Yep.
soon, man. I've got to get out there and try your new menu.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
You got it, brother. Take care of you guys and everyone else. We'll see you next time on Kitchen Conversations. Thanks for tuning in.
Thanks.